The Washington Canoe Club has served as the hub of East Coast paddling for more than a century, producing legendary canoeists, including members of the famed Havens family of Virginia, who bonded for generations along the banks of the Potomac. Sitting beside today's sleek fiberglass are timeless vessels of cedar and mahogany, shells that carried the Havens to glory in a story that transcends sport.
This canoe has meant a lot to us for an awful long time.
Dan Havens' grandfather, Bill Sr., was among America's shining hopes going into the 1924 Paris Summer Olympics, having not lost a paddling race in years. But he faced a dilemma: stay for the birth of his son or leave and win gold.
This whole thing was not a small decision. It was heart-wrenching, and it was heart-wrenching for everybody that knew him.
Bill Havens stayed home, but due to the Depression and World War II, he missed his shot at Olympic gold.
He never got another chance to go. But he pushed his sons hard.
In the coming years, Havens coached sons Frank and Bill Jr., sculpting them into superstars. Bill finishing fifth in the 1948 London Games, Frank earning silver.
When he came home, he was some kind of motivated to train.
To get a canoe matching Frank's power, the Havens pooled their money, $300, to buy this stunning ride, handcrafted in Sweden. Frank's brother Bill Jr. also made the team, but had to stay behind due to an accidental injury.
My father ended up getting severing all the tendons in his hand and couldn't go.
And to make matters even more improbable, Frank fractured all three of his paddles soon after arriving in Helsinki, his only option, borrowing one. But despite the odds, Frank Havens met destiny head-on.
Myself and the Czech and the Hungarians were kind of in one pack, and then the rest of the field were together, and I was in third. And after I got around the turn, I tried to lengthen out a little bit to maybe save a little bit, and as soon as I would lengthen out, they'd be right on either side of me. I could see them out of either eye.
Havens somehow found the strength to pass both men, winning by only seconds.
It was fun to grow up with the whole thing.
Back at Dan's home in Northern Virginia, memories abound. A 2-year-old Dan on his father's shoulders. The Olympic flag in that picture now draped over a staircase. Alongside historic paddles, that 1948 silver and the 1952 gold.
And the cool part was, after this was all over, he wrote a telegram to my grandfather. I'm coming home with the gold medal that you should have won in 24. It's an incredible story.
Frank Havens passed away a few years back. His son Dan and nephew Kirk know full well that while this tale has a great deal to do with strength and stamina, it's also about the enduring sacrifices we all make for those we love. I'm Jay Korf for 7 News.
In 1924, Bill Havens Sr. was the top-ranked canoeer in the world. He was chosen to represent Team USA at the 1924 Paris Olympic Games. Problem was his wife was also pregnant at the time, and the due date was during the games. So he had a decision: do I stay home and watch the birth of my son, or do I go to the 1924 Paris Olympic Games, representing the country I love in the sport that I love? Well, it was an easy decision. He stays home. Frank is born, grows up listening to the stories of his uncle who won 3 gold medals at the games. And Bill Jr. and Frank honor his father's sacrifice by participating in the 1948 London Games, as well as the 1952 Helsinki Games. And 28 years after Bill Sr.'s sacrifice, Frank Havens wins the gold medal in his father's honor. It's a story that comes once in a lifetime, and I feel that I've worked so hard to tell the story as it's happened, and I'm really proud of where we're at so far. And I think Back on the Water is a story that will resonate with people, because every family has a story, and this is theirs. So I was at my friend's wedding in upstate New York, originally from New York myself. And as my friends are exchanging their vows, the Catholic priest is telling a sermon. So on that particular day, it was thunder, lightning, gray clouds. The sermon opens up with the ultimate sacrifice of a father staying home to watch the birth of his son, giving up his opportunity at Olympic gold. And when I started listening in more detail, every single hair on my body just went 90 degrees. And it was one of those situations where, as a writer, I'm always looking for new stories to tell. And when I heard about this family story of the ultimate sacrifice and then the children following in father's footsteps, it really resonated with me. And the next week I met with them for lunch and mapped out what I intended to do with their story. And now we're putting the puzzle pieces together to get this to the market and get their story out there for a feature film.